Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 53, Tacoma Tuesday. I have no idea how to pronounce your weird sitting name, so
You
I'm
did
sorry
it.
if that's wrong, but I'm
That was
going to stick with
perfect.
it.
Good job.
Really? Oh, good. The polls were complimenting my pronunciation skills as well as everybody else butchered them, and I, for some reason, got them perfect every time. It was great. Born to speak Slav is apparently the.
Yeah.
So, hello everybody, and welcome to Stat Check episode 53. I'm Ennis, and I'm joined by Anthony. Fortunately, Nathan is buried in work, as I believe is Jeremy. So we are live for just the two of us. Me, who went to a tournament, I'm not really allowed to talk about, and Anthony, who didn't go to a tournament. So we're here to share our thoughts, feelings, and tribulations of about 40k. That's
Oh,
probably
so
something
many
like that.
tribulations.
So many tribulations. Yeah, I'm feeling fairly positive about 40k right now, so I can't complain too hard. But yeah, we're here to do that. We're gonna run the usual 90 minutes or so. We're gonna talk a bunch about Warhammer. We'll talk about Tacoma. There were some other events this weekend I paid precious little attention to, like London Open and a team tournament that Team England or like half of Team England won. No lists for Team England on the list on the event page, obviously. So.
Well, Nos went and won that single. Oh no, got beat by Boris. Almost won the singles event.
Oh, I think I heard a funny story about that, about him refusing to play the semifinal. He like round 5 paired into Boris and refused to play and went to go to the bar, and Boris chased him down and was like, "No, I'm not going, you have to play," and then beat him anyway. Just like put him in the ground. It's like, no, I just wanted to beat you, bro.
Yeah, I just need it on the paper.
And then Boris then lost in the mirror in the finals to Yoko from Team Iceland as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was super awesome. Love the meta. Looking at the 1-2-3 of that one and being GSC, GSC, GSC. Looking at the 1-2-3 of there was another one that was Eldar, and then
Yeah.
Tacoma was Custodes. It's like sure does feel like there's some desperation going on at these different terrain formats and stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
if that could be having an impact or anything like that. How is my nap in this? Unfortunately, I did not manage to fall asleep, so I'm good. There's solid, liquid, gas, plasma, and Innis as the 5 states right now.
There you go. Good job.
Got there. I'm sorry. Let's do the how have we been? That's probably the best place to start. Anthony, how you been?
Playing 10th, so I've been better. Aside from that, pretty good. Things are going pretty well. I'm not, nothing super exciting. What did I do last weekend? Oh, I got Fox back into the game. He's coming to War Masters, so that'll be fun. His
You
first.
rearranged your room, or you're in a different room.
I'm in a different
Or a
room.
different room. Yeah.
We rearranged like the house. So what was once like, the art room ostensibly that Anna was using is now like the room that I have.
If I'm not
this
sure
desk,
yet.
this desk looks very silly. There's like work computer, this, and then like desktop. So a wildly unnecessary amount of nonsense in this corner, but at least it's contained now instead of being in 3 places. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Going your first event of 10th being War Masters after no reps since like ages ago is going to be a vibe. So good luck, Brandon. Should be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. As for myself, I am just back from 11 days in Poland, which was super awesome. I will say the entirety of Europe, besides like where I am right now, is going through like the worst heat wave in like a decade, and I was not equipped.
Yeah, it was hot last year, so
I am not a man who is built for 30-degree weather at 10 o'clock at night.
yeah.
So it was real interesting. You get in the car and I'd left a bottle of like Fanta in my bag when we went into like the venue, and I came out and I drank it, and it was actively like I had it out of a kettle, like it was like boiling hot Fanta. It was and it was so warm that I drank it and thought it was quenching. So I was like, oh man, this is so much cooler than the air. So
Ugh, gross.
um so yeah, that was a thing. It was interesting. To be fair though, so we did a team tournament on the first weekend where we went to Silesia, Silesia Team Championship with Brian and Myson, and Typhus is our coach. We played Triple Rake Night Eldar because we have no chill, and Gene Cult and Deathwatch. And the lists of that are available online because only the Team Poland's ones are hidden. They didn't have any respect. They were like, well, hide all the Team Poland's list. Team Scotland's list, nobody gives a toss. They can be on the website. So ours are available.
Is that for both weekends that you were there?
Yeah, so the Silesia Team Championships, they're just like any Team Poland players. Your lists aren't public. The people who are at the event will get sent them specifically. So I played 3 people whose lists I never got to see because we didn't get that PDF. So
nice.
Warhammer is really fun, and the Triple Wraith Knight. Yeah, we knew it was dying, so it was like, yeah, that's fine. We can just let that be a thing. Brian still managed to lose a game with it, which was fucking hilarious. 420 nils in like 15 minutes, and then he played the other mirror, went second, and got high rolled. It was great.
Scammed.
This was pre-points nerf as well, so it was like,
I feel bad for neither of them.
No, me neither. It was really funny because it was the only that round wasn't even close because like I put some orcs in the ground and Mycen, like 1,000 Suns player conceded on turn 1 to Mycen's Gene Cults. So normal stuff for Warhammer.
Tough.
I think my favorite thing was the team that we played in that last round came 4th on tiebreakers, where they came tied exactly 207 like tournament points, like the 20-0 scoring, with the team that came 3rd, and they lost by 10 on actual total game played points, like the VP differential, like actually like the 100 to 10, 100 to 100 scores was the 3rd tiebreaker, and their 1,000 Suns player conceded on turn 1 and took a 0. So they lost by like 10 points. So if that guy had just like played turn 2, they would have come 3rd, which is my least favorite thing. I feel bad for the guys.
That guy got beat up in the apartments later.
I feel really bad for them as well because my game ended 19-1, but I'd miscounted on my scoreboard as 18-2, submitted as 18-2, realized, refreshed it, changed it to 19-1, and then they lost, and then they drew for the point.
Oh, like, oh my god.
Like, so I also feel like I just like stole it, started like directly took the sandwich out of his mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't get to have this. But no, it was really cool. It was really awesome to get to play in Poland. Everybody was super welcoming as far as like it being a random singles event. Basically knowing no issues with everybody like played in English for us. I don't think I played on a clock the entire weekend. It was super chill. We did like a grill barbecue on the Saturday night with everybody at the venue. It was really nice. It was just like a random little. I described it as looking like 6 weeks away from being a Call of Duty map electrical plant, which was really weird. It was like a fitness center or community center that the electrical plant had built next to it to like cancel out the environmental impacts. I think it was like, we understand that we're destroying your environment. Here's a fitness center with like a gym and stuff. So we played in there. It was really, really weird. I'm not gonna lie. But I did discover the best store in the world, which is Żabka, which is just like a convenience store. Yeah, everybody knows Żabka is the best.
Nothing costs anything in Poland.
Yeah, no. Try and not particularly enjoy a bunch of Polish foods, which I don't think was ever particularly threatening. Yeah, it was a good time. And then I went and stayed in a hotel for a week with Gitu, Mycen, and Gitu, Typhus, and Brian, and we played like 2 games of 40K a day every day while we all worked from home on different schedules, which was really weird, confusing, and difficult to arrange. You'd one person would take a work call at like 7 a.m., finish theirs at 12. I'd be waking up. We'd play a game. I'd go and do my work for the day. They'd play another game. I'd return. Be like, oh, this is weird.
That's what it could be.
But we ended up grinding through like a bunch of super cool lists and matchups and aerated a bunch of lists for Pyra and found some really cool faction tech and all that stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about. It was great. Like I sure did play a whole bunch of games into a whole bunch of things I wasn't planning on. And then like find out a whole bunch of stuff about my list, my faction. It was great. And then we went to the actual Pyra, where very, very minimally there is some stuff available. It was a team event between ourselves, Poland, a Poland B team, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Denmark. And we managed to come 3rd at that. We lost to Poland and the Netherlands, which nobody was super shocked at. And we beat Denmark and Belgium and the other team. Brian was the high scorer for the tournament with a 95 out of 100, which is always super cool. I managed to scrape and grind an 8-12 loss, a 9-11 loss, a 10-10, and 2 12-8s, which is not what I'm used to doing at team events. but it's really
Yeah,
hard
just
when you can't give yourself
struggling.
any pairings. When you're like, oh, my list isn't good. I can't give myself any pairings resources. I guess I'll struggle boss.
Yeah.
It was great. I played way too much 40k. I got way too drunk on the Saturday night and did some dumb shit. Yeah, center stuff. It was great. They came out and handed every team like 3 500 milliliter balls of vodka and said, "Hey, this is yours." And I drank way too much of it.
I mean, you didn't drink as much as Liam.
I actually did drink more than Liam that night. It was the night before that Liam fell in the bush.
Maybe relative to each other. Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah. Liam managed to fall in a bush 3 times and then through a table the next morning and still 20-0 game one.
Boy's built different, unless he plays Brian.
Boy is built different. But yeah, no, the event was super good. It was great to do a bunch of testing. We've all like shared matrices afterwards, and we're going to be working on like post-event stuff and getting a bunch of iteration. People have taken a bunch of lists on board. It's going to be great. Like there's a ton of stuff to take away from it, none of which I can share with anybody. So if you're one of the like 50 people who's allowed to know about that event, it was a great time. Please stop texting in chat, Aya and Chris. It's really, really weird. It confuses me so much.
I love it. It's hilarious. Please keep doing that. That's
What I
very
will
funny.
say is more events should be in hotels where food is £6 for like a restaurant meal. I highly recommend.
So we should do more events in Poland specifically, is what you're saying.
And 7 days in the same hotel is too much.
You think so?
I did not enjoy it overly much. Like I don't know. It was really weird on like the scheduling side of things, where like you'd sometimes just be like sat on your own for like 4 hours with fuck all to do because everybody else is working, and I don't do well in that kind of environment. So it was just a little weird.
Just look at your phone for a bit, take a nap.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It was weird. It was just I don't know. It was a confusing week. Plus, feeling like a 2-year-old did not help. I could not speak to anybody, order anything, go
Yep.
anywhere. Like I figured that Little had like automated self service, so that was the only place I shopped.
Nice.
Yeah, when I got picked up on the Monday for my taxi back to the airport, the guy was like something in Polish, and I just went no Polska and got in the car. I don't know. I can't do this. It was a weird and good time. But no, we'll definitely go back. Pyro was great. It's a shame America will never be invited because you're too good. Like you guys have hit the threshold where like you're not good enough to get it. You're too good to get invited to the cool events.
We don't know that. That's true. We could go and throw this year. Maybe we
That's
suck.
true. You guys could suck.
Yeah. We probably don't suck, but we could suck. Who knows?
Cool. With all that, let's talk a bit about. We don't have stats. They're in theory the stats are done, but nobody sent it to me.
Someone smarter than us has the stats, and that is going to be to everyone else's detriment. Sorry.
Yeah. Presumably, Knights Eldar and Gene Circuits are a problem, and Sword Custodians probably a little bit. That's all I really got.
Yep.
Yeah.
The top of the meta is a nightmare. Imagine playing singles right now.
Watch the Tacoma finals.
Oh, I loved it. It was the best. That was the best 40k game I've ever watched. It was so symptomatic of the edition. It was amazing. It was so good. Trimble's just like, and here we go, and just like gets out his fucking broom and just shoves his mans forward.
Yeah, so for anybody who didn't watch the Tacoma Open finals, very broadly, Steve Trimble playing 30 Custodian Guard and some shit is playing against Hank Adams with
2 Caladius,
9 Custodian Guard, 7 Alaris, 6 Wardens, 2 Caladius, and some shit. And Steve goes for, and they're playing player-placed objectives, which is objectively my least favorite thing in 10th edition. And you look at the board, and there's like 1 in Steve's deployment zone, 2 in Hank's, and 2 in the midboard, and you're like, well, I can tell which one of them is going to have to push forward this game.
Well, one of them, I would bet you anything that Steve put the 1 in Hank's deployment zone there.
It was like, I'm going for it. Yeah, I don't need to have. I don't have 2 units to put in my deployment zone and put 1. Yeah,
you got it.
I did not catch that bit. So yeah, very broadly, Steve just goes, well, what if I just make all 3 of these my deployment zone and puts 30 Custodian Guard in the middle objectives going first, and goes, all right, what's your plan?
No pretense of hiding, just like in the middle on the plexi.
I'm going to be honest, I can respect it. And then goes, clock to you, try and kill me. And Hank does, and Hank kills like 16 custodian guard and loses 20 back. Uh,
And it's kills 6 with just his Caladius guns, which is like no Custodes player in their life has failed that many saves. And then just
I think it was all of Hank's shooting, which will include like the shooting from the.
No, it was just the Caladius.
Just the Caladius, Jesus.
Just the Caladius killed 6.
I fired armies into Custodians and done less damage.
Yep.
God, I hate Custodians.
Me too.
I think my least favorite thing in 4K right now is a 4-up and vulnerable save. I just can't. Every single person that I played against like last weekend between like Thousand Sons, Necrons, Custodians is just like, so I have 3 4-ups to make. I'm gonna pass 2 of them every time, every turn. It's just like it's 50% round up, right? Doesn't matter. Make them take 7, they'll fail 3. Make them take 10, they'll fail 4 because they don't do average there. I hate it. I hate 4-ups so goddamn much.
The worst is when you make that, when you're like finally like fuck it and you land your hammer unit and you're like take 24 ups and they fail 17 of them and you're like, god damn it, why now?
No, that's never once happened to me. I'm not gonna.
Oh, that happens to me.
Yeah.
When I like overcommit into something that's already hurt, that's when it's time to fail the 4-ups.
There was one game this weekend. I'm gonna just talk about it because I played against the Magnus at Pyra. No, I'm sure people will be shocked. I walked out, fired 10 Desolation Marines and a full squad of two full squads of frag cannons at it, and put 4 damage on him with lethal hits.
Seems good.
I'm like, well, I guess I'm not winning this game.
Nope.
Just looked at like, that was my oath target too.
Oops.
Yeah. He only used 1 reroll as well. It was 6 natural passes and 1 reroll.
And no blanks, just fuck you.
Straight flat, all of them. I'm just like, what am I meant to do here? How am I meant to do this? And then I take like 87 million devastating wounds back, and it's like, all right, cool. 12-8, by the way. Thousand Sons can't push.
They sure can't. They're like, you're down. Fuck.
So in the Tacoma finals, I think personally, I don't think that squad that was on the right should have been able to heroically defeat. I'm sure there was a way you could have made it so that squad couldn't heroic, but it sure did. So,
I mean, it's 10th. He doesn't get to control where his models go.
He does. You get a little bit of control. You get enough control that if you remember your opponent has a 6-inch heroic, you can probably stop it.
Un pequeño. It's a core strat. What's he supposed to do?
Yeah. Anyway, it's great saying like I mean nothing bad about this to Hank. I'm sure I did not pay attention, but like I feel like if you were really thinking about that strategy at the time, you could have engineered the movement into the charge in such a way that they don't get a heroic there.
Could you? Probably. Did it look like both players were using all of their brain in that game?
Absolutely. It's the end of the 9th round of a super major, and you've both been playing Custodes. You've not engaged a thought since round 0. I'm sure you're not thinking about it at that point. But I really feel like if you were in the right headspace, that heroic doesn't happen, and I think Hank wins the game from there. But it's not what happened. So
yeah,
Hank sure did kill everything in Steve's except the 1 squad that was left. And that 1 squad sure to kill everything else.
It doesn't take many Custodes to kill you.
Yeah, I do. Will say my least favorite thing is that the tanks get karates, but sure didn't help them when they got popped by like 4 guard.
I mean, that shit's funny, but it's not like actually that relevant a lot of the time. Look,
man, you tell me it's not relevant when your main primary damage in melee hits on 4s, and I'll tell you.
Ugh. What are you doing?
Heavy Thunderhammers, bro. On 4s base.
Ew.
I know. It really hurts.
Melee that hits on 4s. What are you fucking guard it ranged? Ugh.
No, guard it ranged on 2s. What are you on about?
No, that's 10th. 9th.
No, that's Manticores now. You remember Manticores that hit on 2s rolling with lethal hits? This is great podcasting. Anyway, Tacoma looked evil. The terrain was shockingly terrible for towering, but I think all the other players killed them all.
Yeah, I was gonna say outside of towering, that terrain set's like totally fine.
Yeah, for sure. But inside of towering,
yeah, with some towering being around, spooky.
Do you know what the biggest problem with towering is though? Is that you can still go second against Eldar, and then like
dude, or that guy playing fucking Iron Hands who took no mercy on those Knight players.
what was that? I didn't see that.
Dude, a guy took 3 Lancers, 3 Repexes, and a Strayus and something else, and was just like, fuck you, and paired Knights 5 times.
Oh my hero! I did see the Grey Knights guy with the Thunderhawk and the guy with 3 Vindicators and a Warhound Titan,
Dude,
and I think he won games.
the
So
triple Repex man is just like, there's a picture that Tim has, I think, or Brian sent us of like him successfully rolling to go first, and he's just like, and it is mint.
it's like you thought towering was your advantage.
Yeah, you did think that, I'm sure, at one point. Woo boy.
Look, man, you mess with the skew, you get the skew, right?
Yeah.
That's how it do be. We have had another couple of. So we've had Aya saying, "Hi, Chris. It's nice seeing you here." Chris texting in the chat. Dan says, "Hey to Turbo and the Von in the sleeper." My
Hello.
favorite thing about 40k 10th edition is still that people have been saying Von Innes is Leaper to their like people they're playing games with against Tyranids, and then their friends just looking at them really confused because it's currently my name in the Stat Check Discord
Yeah.
and has been for a couple months now, and
Right.
people are using it like unintentionally in real games, and that makes me laugh so hard. I might change it to the Nord Emissary now though because that thing is my favorite.
That thing's so cool. Oh
Yeah,
man.
we can talk. We can talk NIDS in a minute. We're gonna finish talking about events, and then Daniel says, "David Gaylord, if you're here, Nathan needs help." That's it. Warhound guy won 3 games at Tacoma, by the way. So honestly, there were people who tried at Tacoma that didn't get 3 wins, and that guy brought 3 Vindicators and 3 Whirlwinds, and 3 Vindicators and Warhound Titan, and I think like some tactical squads. So that guy's better than everybody else in that room. Like that guy deserved the finals.
Yeah. Victory through like a moral victory, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, man put 1,100 points in a model. Like,
he knows what he's about.
Nathan is putting some stats into chat. In first place for the week was Eldar with a 60% win rate with the mirror removed, a 3.92 overrep, and they were 9.1% of the meta.
That's
which means
68%, by the way.
Yeah, 6.8. 3.92 overrep with being 9.1% of the meta, which means roughly 36% of top 4s were Eldar this week.
That's good.
Probably like 33. So like a third of all top results were Eldar. In second was Genestealer Cults with, I can actually, yeah, there we go. Yeah, hell yeah. In second place was Genestealer Cults with a 62.3% win rate with mirror removed and a 4.27% over representation, making up 4.2% of the map. So very roughly 17-18% of top 4s. So between them and Eldar, for anybody counting, that's over 50, very roughly. IK is third with 58.7 win rate and 0.45 over rep. IK might be good, but they sure do have a lot of players playing Knights who lose games.
Yep.
Custodians are in fifth because fourth place doesn't matter with a 56.8% win rate and a 1.33% over rep.
All I know is that whatever's in fourth is whatever Nathan wants to play next.
It's probably Marines, right? It's almost always Marines. It's not. It's definitely not. I would imagine it's
Thousand Sons.
T-Sons or Marines would be my guess. Custodians in fifth with a 1.33 over rep at 7.9% of that, which is again another 10%. So between GSC, Eldar, and Custodians, that is 60% of the top 4s from the week are those 3 factions.
Nice. Cool.
Thanks. Anyway, and Votan had the worst win rate for the weekend at 24.7%, which is honestly higher than I would have guessed.
They should be ballistic skill 5.
They are actually on a decent number of guns. So
sick. Cool.
You just mean army wide, or?
Yeah. Whatever's currently 4 should be 5.
Whatever's 5 should be 6.
No, whatever's 5 should be made into a melee weapon.
But keep the same range, right? You get to charge at 24-inch range. That would make Berserkers actually good.
Maybe.
Berserkers could have a 24-inch engagement range. Would you consider running them?
Yes.
There you go. We found what Anthony needs in 40k. Ranged melee.
Yes. Ideally.
Anyway, shall we talk about what do you want to talk about? I don't really have anything prepared, so
I don't have anything great other than hating. I just got hate on
do we want to
Votan.
talk about how cool the new NIS models are for like 2 minutes?
Holy moly. God
Like,
damn. I was trying to get some custodes done, and now between Stu Black going everywhere talking about Crusher again. So like look, this is the issue in us. This is the area I live in. I have such little faith in 10th that they've told me Crusher is coming back and shown me these new models, and I'm still like, it could get fucked up. Like they could release Crusher and have it be like +1 strength for monsters on the charge, or it could be -1 damage and an invuln. And a lot of those niche sheets are a lot scarier with an inbuilt invuln and -1 damage.
look, I'm not saying that I saw those models when I was in Poland and came back and built my Leviathan boxes, but I did build 3 Psychophages today. So,
Yeah.
Tacoma. Let's finish one thing on Tacoma. How did the Team USA boys do?
Generally well. Lucas got a little bit scammed. So we sent Lucas into Tacoma playing Imperial Knights because we were doing some team stuff that we were moving around and testing. And Lucas, like, lost a game, whatever. It was kind of expected to lose like one. And then he, after losing his game, immediately got team killed by Naj on Custodes on the list that won the event, which sucked. So, aside from that, generally everyone did really well. I think Tyler dropped one game to Noah Badome, who did super well. Shout out to Noah. He might be the nicest man in
He's in the
40K.
chat, so
Oh, easy. There you go. Love Noah deeply. If you don't like Noah, it's a you problem. Go get therapy. You need help. So yeah, everyone did pretty well. Ben, I think, was the highest placer. Then
Ben
Tyler.
finished 6th, I believe.
Yeah, like a bunch of the boys did like super well. Yeah, broadly very proud of all my lads going out there and doing things. Generally did pretty well. People played lots and lots of events. Or people played lots and lots of Team USA boys played at that event. That was what I was trying to say.
I did see Tyler play James Glover and Goonhammer in the last round and showed him what Gene Circles do. So
Yes. He said that Wings' list was like super interesting to play into, actually. So that's cool.
that makes sense. 16 out of 26 factions didn't get any overrap.
That's dark.
Also, apparently Tyler and Noah Badome's game was insanity.
Yeah,
Double space harpoon Overwatch.
Tyler lost his Acolyte Bomb Squad with a Primus in it to a harpoon. Like the whole thing. Just like,
I mean, there's a decent chance it just dies to the flamer, right?
or no,
like,
maybe with a Neo squad. He lost like something that was like very important, and it was just like poof, gone.
Like, I would expect to lose between like Siege Breakers, Top Missile, Meltas, the Flamer, and the Harpoon. There's a decent chance you lose a 10-man to that thing anyway. But
whatever he lost, it included his Warlord and gave the Dominus that was in his deployment zone a 5-up. So
that does take a turn to trigger, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Valiant and his deployment, bottom of 1.
Mysterious Guardian, hell yeah.
Gaming.
Um,
Anyway, yeah, they did really well. Very proud of them. They all did well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Right. Nids again. So they showed off for Genestealers, Hormagaunts, more Termagants, Pyrovore, Biovore, Lictor, Neurolictor, Norn Emissary, Norn Assimilator, Deathleaper again.
Yeah. Literally, most of the reason that I expect to be able to play Nids is because they get to do the thing that my beloved Chaos factions do, which is 50-point squad of idiots, stand over there, 1,800 points of gas, go over there. And that is my favorite thing in 40K. So if they can do that in the new book, I'm in.
You get a bunch of you missing Crusher was your biggest mistake in 40K, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's not even close. Like, it is the worst decision I've made in 40K was missing Crusher. I really don't want to do it again. I'm a little bit worried about like making sure that I actually get to do it, but we'll see. I have a bunch of
You've seen 10th design philosophy. There's no way that this isn't. Those things are going to be like towering and murder psychers or something like that.
They have night guns.
Yeah, it's going to be like, you know what? That thing, the Norn Emissary's brain gun is going to be like a Castellan gun that's 2d3 shots and psychic, and he's towering and with like 2-up, 4-up because he's a tiered monster.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. right? It could be crazy. I desperately want that to be good. That said, I think they've said that they're not like removing detachments as things go on, right? So like if Crusher is expected to be like a evergreen playstyle for NIDs, then it makes more sense for me to go in. Because I'm not super like I don't give a single shit about current NIDs. Like gaunts and whatever stuff. Like I don't give a fuck about any of that. So like, but Crusher for gaming, that's an army I can play.
I can respect it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I need more coaching clients. So if anybody would like to help me buy Terran, it's statjustcheck.com/coaching.
Good plug.
Because I would love to talk about anything so that I can buy 6 Norn emissaries. I would buy a plushie gaunt. That is absolutely a thing I would do.
Yeah.
Somebody has just said need a plushie in chat. But new Sporemine plushie, I would probably not because I don't really want to risk that thing like detonating. That seems like it could be risky.
Yeah.
Right. Shall we talk about general state of 40k? Because you're having a terrible time. I'd like to talk a little bit about my experience playing a bunch of high level 40k over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, go for
Just
it.
because it'll be super fun. Right. Game is shit. Nobody's denying that. However, when you are playing two not the best factions into each other, so basically when there is nothing involving, basically if you play a game where Eldar and GSC aren't involved, and you're not a melee army playing into Custodes or like Death Guard, Admech, Votan, like one of the garbagey ones, and you're playing into the other ones, the game's still pretty fun, and I still enjoy 40k.
I can get behind that.
There is a lot of dumb decisions in 10th edition. At the core, though, I still played a bunch of really, really tough games of 40k over the past. I played like 15 years of 40k in the past week, and I would say, outside of every single one I played into Eldar, and I mean I played Deathwatch into GSC, which is just like the hilariously like, yeah, no, I just win that. It's great. You don't have to try. It's so fun. You're just like, yeah, so it got all these dudes that you can't ever interact with. What's your plan? And then they lose.
Yeah.
It's great.
Everybody loves that.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a taste of their own medicine for Gene Circle players. Frankly, you just say, "I'm going to vect one with the darkness," and then they look at you and they're like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And you're going first, so they can't even use it twice, and you delete everything they have on the board. It's great. It's really fun.
They get to recycle into their blips over there,
which I then put Inceptors on top of. Yeah.
Yeah.
3-inch deep strike, baby.
Yeah.
You got to screen it out when I can ingress. Ingress is a horribly messed up mechanic that is the only thing holding most of the armies in this game together right now.
Yep.
It's kind of fantastic how terrible it is, and also how much of a crutch it is for
Ingress and Lone Op is like the shit glue keeping 10th a stable
like
ship.
vaguely playable.
Yeah.
It's that and like L's with no windows. It's like the three horsemen of like holding together.
The footprint of how much terrain is on a WTC table that we're just like pretending is okay. Like there's like, yeah, you can shoot very specifically down this like 1 millimeter gap.
And the worst thing is it doesn't even like stop the shooting armies.
Well, they don't need line of sight.
I'm gonna grab out the WTC maps because that's actually a thing we can talk about a little bit.
Yeah. They did a wonderful job, by the way.
Oh yeah, for the amount of time the WTC guys had, I don't think the maps are perfect. I think they're the best we have in the given situation.
I mean, they're so much better than any other.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's absolutely things I would change on basically every map. However, I also don't think that there is anything resembling the amount of time that WTC needed to make the right decisions. And I think given the time and feedback they had, they've done a great job. But I don't need to do slides. Let's share my screen. Window. There we go. So this is the new WTC map pack. Very basically, you're looking at big ruins, little ruins that don't have any windows anymore. You can tell from the big X's on them. And then this stuff, which is like 10 to 12 ruins aboard.
10 massive ruins with windowless first floor.
Yeah. Every single one of these ruins is 72 square inches.
What are we doing?
You'll also notice that on like basically every board, there are no objectives in line. They're all like this is a light board, and I think it might be the only board in this set of 8 that has an objective in the open that isn't the middle objective.
What the fuck did they do to the game?
I like these ones where they're just like, yeah, so we can join two ruins, and then there's this like gap here. You just can't shoot through it. No, no, nope.
Yeah, they're like, we know
Pretend
there's a
pretend
gap.
this is one ruin.
Yeah, we know there's a gap there. It counts as sealed. Fuck you.
Yeah, there's no greater feeling than like in like the deployments like this one, just deploying your entire army in here and realizing that if your opponent just like drops a unit here, your entire backfield is open, so you can't like have anything in your backfield. So and then anything just like strat reserves in off like the side or deep strikes in and just like shoot your entire army anyway. It's great.
Uh,
You play this on like
uh,
the sweeping engagement deployment zone. Yeah, this one. Here you go. And you're just like,
yeah,
so I can deploy my backfield, and there's an angle from my opponent's deployment zone. Cool. So how do I screen anything ever?
you don't.
Yeah, I know. It's great. And then like a knight walks from like here to here, looks over the ruin into your backfield, or like just walks from here down to here and shoots into your home objective because your unit's too big to fit into like this bit, so it like trails out a little bit, and you still get shot anyway. It's great. Um, I mean, it's nice. There has to be some boards like that because it's a pairings process. You have to have some boards that do punish you for
Someone
trying
has
to
to
hide
eat
in your
shit.
deployment zone.
Not everybody gets to
Yeah,
have fun.
exactly. You got to be able to do something into the other player that didn't get board choice. Like you want to deploy here, I'm going to try and coin flip. But yeah, the boards are so incredibly dense now.
Uh,
Amazingly, it's just terrain, 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 and it helps a ton, right? Like I definitely felt like as long as I was reasonably hiding most of my army, I could limit the amount of shooting I was taking turn one, even into armies like knights and wraith knights,
yeah, you
because
can slow them
you can
down.
definitely slow down, and
Yeah.
there's enough terrain on the board that you can like actually reasonably stage up some amount of melee units and things like
Yep.
that. Like Custodes, great on these boards, for example. Thousand Sons have a great time. You can like walk up Terminators and have them pretty good places. Magnus the same, right? There's lots of like these boards definitely do address a ton of issues. They also, and I know this is like an unfair criticism of WTC, look like shit, right? Like I know that the goal of them isn't to be like nice and thematic and cool looking boards, but for gameplay considerations, these boards are fantastic. For actual like casual play, like I can't recommend these boards to anybody in terms of like wanting to play a good looking and engaging and fun game of 10th edition because they just
Well,
don't look like
I think
they're unreasonable amounts of terrain.
I think this is the only way to play a fun game of 10th. I agree that you're probably not going to get to play a narrative game of 10th, but now we have very different expectations of like what is supposed to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Like I 100% agree that there's no like I can't be. I'm not looking at this like I think this is a problem for WTC, like for WTC and for anybody who's going to like if I'm going to run events in Scotland, I'm going to run them with this terrain because it's the way to make for me so far the best way to make the game of 10 an enjoyable and fair experience for both players, regardless of
No.
70% of army considerations. Like the top 15% and the bottom 15%. I'm sorry, like terrain can't help you. There are fundamental flaws with your army composition that prevent this from being in effect for you.
Yeah.
But for everybody else in the reasonably fat middle, like basically everything from like Thousand Sons and Marines down to like probably like just slightly better than Sisters, like you can play games on these boards and they will be, if not completely fair, will be competitive, right? You will have to work and try.
Yeah, you can
But
pretend to play a game.
exactly. Um, Yeah, I'm sorry. World that you're staging on these boards isn't going to help you because your army costs too much. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do for you.
Your army
Uh,
costs too much, your stats are quite bad, your models aren't very good.
I mean,
Your
like you play Votan versus World Eaters on these boards. I'm sure you'll have a great time.
Oh yeah, you'll smoke check those Votan, but like, you know,
Yeah. Um, but like it's very telling that the Reddit thread for these, like I understand that like the Reddit community thread isn't stunning indictment of the state of competitive 40K. Right? Like it's definitely representative of a small group of people that are hyper invested in talking about 40K and not necessarily playing it. But even that community, which is ostensibly like the competitive Reddit thread, is basically like the people who care enough about 40K to want to talk about the game specifically, not just post about pictures and things like that, right? And it draws in people who are competitive and go to tournaments, people who just want to play fair games with their friends. And 90% of people who look at these run, these don't look like terrain boards. Like they just don't, right? And I think that's for me like it's not a problem with the WC boards, it's a problem with 10th edition in general. That the boards that it pushes you towards just don't work, because this is trying to address the towering problem where Tacoma just kind of said towering isn't a problem, it's fine. And they work great in that sense. Like if you ignore that the towering is fine, the Tacoma boards are great because these are based on those kinds of boards, right? They're
Right.
different, and I think there's some of them that are a little more dense, some of them are a little less dense. But broadly, they're kind of based on GW boards. But because they've tried to acknowledge that towering is not a thing that you can just leave alone in Warhammer, whereas Tacoma kind of went, we intended this for knights. It's the boards look better, the boards look more narrative, but like there's still no reason to run forests or hills or anything like that on the boards, which I think is a shame because boards look better when there is more different terrain elements on them, right? It gives you more options, it's more dynamic, but
I mean,
there's
I
just
miss
no
the
incentive.
vents, dude. The vents were a great solution,
I mean,
but
vents were great, but I feel like if you just made vents be what forests are for this edition,
sure.
like you could very comfortably run. Like you're in a forest, you get stealth and cover, right? Like you can't hide. But there's a terrain piece you can put on an objective that makes it, like open but holdable. There's nothing that gives you just like cover now, right?
Well,
Like
cover doesn't fucking do anything 90% of the time anymore, so
I
who
mean, cover
cares?
doesn't do anything in the sense that everything just has +1 armor save now, which is not the same thing. But
I just meant that, like, cover is often ignored or irrelevant, is what I was getting at.
I don't know. I don't personally agree with that. I feel like cover's had a pretty large impact on a lot of the games I've played.
Yeah.
Um, Not every army has unilateral access to ignore cover or enough AP to make it through, and it's one of the bigger, I would say, stratifying factors in 10th edition is how much access to high enough AP and ignore cover you have to
Yeah,
actually
I
get the most out
guess
of your
I'm
guns.
thinking of, like, the things that are a problem, right? Which are
Yeah,
either just
exactly.
gonna,
Like,
like,
yeah,
dev
sure.
wound that
GSC and
you
Eldar don't give a toss, but like a lot of Marine units do, like Desolation Marines excluded, obviously. But like Deathwatch pay a fairly real cost for getting access to it. Not that I think Deathwatch's access to it makes them one of the better factions in the Space Marines.
Death
But
Watch
it,
doesn't give a
but it,
shit.
yeah, I'm not disagreeing, but it's
Yeah.
definitely one of the driving forces behind the Deathwatch being the best Marine faction is
Yeah.
because they have reasonable access to ignored cover and a bunch of blast weapons that work with like land speeders. Whereas something like, you know, and I mean, like you were talking about the Iron Hands list earlier, like the Lancer effects, it's like unilaterally AP4, right? Like it just isn't worrying about cover.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
give a
then you
shit.
play into any faction that doesn't ignore cover, and it's like, wow, this is actually just difficult to do damage with now.
Yeah, it contributes to the stratification, right?
Yeah,
Because, like,
exactly. Which is why I think you just kind of need to, I don't know, treat cover as if it's less universal, but it's too easy to be universal right now. If cover was harder to get, ignore cover would be less important, I think is basically what I'm getting at.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, cover is a
Um,
joke to receive. They should probably make cover infantry only again.
yeah, I'd be cool with like infantry and like beasts or something like
Or yeah,
just
sure, whatever.
like
Mounted.
basically non-vehicle, non-monster for me is
Yeah.
like. But then also, I feel like at that point, crisis suits can't be vehicles still because crisis suits probably should get cover,
Nah,
right?
fuck
Like,
them.
sure, but um, yeah, that's also a fair point from Contact Lost. To what extent is this terrain an attempt to be practical? And on the other hand, it's WTZ trying to use the terrain they have, which, yeah, I think if WTC were designing the terrain from the ground up, they would probably do this slightly differently. But this is the terrain set that WTC have that they are making work as best as they can within the general parameters GW have set out. And I think they've done a really good job of it. And I have absolutely no complaints from a gameplay side of things about these boards. They are city fight boards, though. Just like straight up, these are like fifth edition cities of death, you know?
They have to be.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know, it's disappointing. I don't know
Is
if I
it?
have any WTC 28. It's disappointing, like not from WTC, right? I don't mean it in that way. It's disappointing in a think about how much terrain you now have to commit to having to play reasonable games as a player in your garage or as a store that just wants to start running RTTs that are fair
Yeah.
and fun for the people to go to. Like it's so rude to just be like, yeah, so you need to have 10 ruins and extra stuff on every board you play on.
Yep. You go down to your MDF shop and you cut a bunch of fucking plates in half and you put whatever you think is cool on them.
And you hope that towering fucks off a bit. I don't know.
Or you FAQ it, like our super chat just asked about.
Yeah. What do you think about LSO train rules for rules ruins blocking lines, including towering?
I
So this
think
is LSO basically went with ruins are infinitely tall, right?
so. Frontline made a bunch of really cool changes for LSO. They changed the player placed attacker defender cycle a little bit. So the first drop still gets 1, but then the person going second now gets 2. So you're less likely to get like crate in the middle scammed and then immediately lose the game. Because if someone does that, you then get to set up 2 staging
Two
pieces in the
staging
middle,
pieces, yeah.
and then you're
No, that makes a ton of sense. Like doing it like a slightly diluted snake draft, basically,
yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
yeah, it
And
removes
that
the like mentalness of doing it back and forth, like 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, so on,
yeah,
and but like 1 then 2 is makes total sense.
yeah, and it works great. I think that should be a huge change. The other changes they made is they really limited the number of layouts that they're sending there. So based on the mission pack, it's just the Cathedral set, the Chaos set, and the Sisters set, which are all reasonable pieces when combined with this change of essentially reintroducing obscuring. Um, and that is a much, much, much better rule set than the GW event just played under.
I'm sorry, Sebastian. Just how do you make these layouts work with GW plastic ruins on Realm of Battle boards with molded hills and skulls?
You don't, probably.
Yeah, probably not. But I think it'd be really funny to try.
Yeah, sure.
I'm
Um,
imagining just like molding W like ruins into W into the like into just preset.
no. But yeah, I think
I think for me, I think the change that I would make to towering is that you count as within a terrain piece if you're partially within. So like if you have a big ruin base like if I point at these ones like this one here, and you have your knight base, like currently to get a knight onto this, you have to be fully on the plate. I think if you're a towering model, once you toe into it, it works like it did in Ninth Edition, and you can see over the terrain piece you're touching.
is
And I
there
think I'd be
any
okay with that.
is there any reason not to just remove it past the fact that they're stubborn?
I think it's the general sense of like the knight base is so big that it's hard to get it fully within a piece of terrain.
Yeah.
And then it's fair to just be like, you know what, if a knight walks up to a ruin, I'm fairly okay with it seeing through it.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
I think that's a good way to like tweak it, keep the intent of towering, which is that like a towering knight can see over terrain pieces, but without making it every terrain piece on the board.
Yeah. Fair.
Tim asks, why do people think towering is such a big issue if it's symmetrical? The basic premise is that towering introduces the issue of coin flips in a very unhealthy way, which is basically like if you can't hide from knights and knights can't hide from you, what is your incentive to do anything besides deploy on the line and try and shoot them? Right? Like you don't have a further like you can't hide, so you know all you have is try to stay at a range of their generally pretty long range guns. You know, like a rapid fire battle cannon is 72-inch range. I've
Pretty
never seen
long.
one. I've never seen a rapid fire battle cannon not rapid fire.
Yeah.
Is probably the easiest way to put that. I did once deploy 36.1 away from a Crusader, so I had to move who wanted to shoot me. But other than that,
Got them.
um, it's like it was great. Yeah, you can play reserves, but playing reserves means that you have less on the board to like
Deal
make
with
it
the
less on the
knights.
coin flip, right? Like
Yeah.
you're now suddenly you go second, you get pressured by the knights even more, and you lose the game even harder, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that nothing can beat knights on towering terrain. Like you definitely can, right? Like there are armies that can withstand that amount of damage, like like custodians are armies that can take damage and hit back hard enough that it doesn't matter. The knights
Yep.
can roll bad. You can roll bad into the knights, right? There's lots of, but none of those are skill testing factors, right? They make the game about towering, not about how good you are as a 40k player, and that's the inherently unhealthy factor. Is that there's nothing in the towering rule that promotes healthy gameplay. It just promotes bad decisions and going for risks that you probably shouldn't because you don't have any other choice.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. I'm gonna hold off on answering any more questions from the chat just now, just so we can move on a little bit. I'm gonna do the plugs and then we're gonna move on to the show questions from Discord. I think is probably the best way to finish out. But yeah, very
Yeah.
broadly, I like the WG boards. I'm looking forward to playing on them. I got a bunch of prep on them for Pyra. We played basically these maps. Um, They are generally pretty great. It's super weird having like this where they touch the board edge and there's just like no sight lines down the board edges after playing like GW open terrain where there's just like the entire like 6 inches of the board edge is just a killing field. It's quite different. Um, Adding lots of melee staging is great. If only there were playable melee units for
If
like seven.
only.
Yeah. But no, broadly, massive fan of what WC have done here, and looking forward to seeing what comes out of the event. But if you're playing at home, don't don't try to copy WC maps. I don't really recommend it. Try and play as close to the GW maps and just talk to your friend who plays knights about maybe playing something else for a bit.
You seemed pretty excited about that Deathwing Knight unit. Come on, that's a melee unit. It doesn't have any guns.
It doesn't, but it's not exciting because it's good. It's exciting because it's close enough.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that unit is dumb. So the basic premise is that you can run a Deathwing Knight unit with a captain in it that gives him the Adept of the Codex enhancement from the Gladius, which makes them always count as a tactical doctrine if you want them to be. Which means that anytime anything ends up move within 6 of them or 9 of them, they can move 6 for 0 CP, and they can armor contempt. And with advance and charge and the lance stratagem, they can get lance of plus on AP, and you can basically like just run through an opponent's army, just like Pac-Man and ghosts from one side of the board to the other. It's quite funny. I wouldn't broadly recommend it for like super serious tryharding if you were like trying to win LGT, but if you're trying to win a GT, I think that list can probably do it in the right pairings.
Yeah.
Plus, it can run the Lion, and the Lion does absolutely fuck.
Yeah, that guy slams.
It's great. Plus, if you play Custodians and they disrespect you by not running Trajan, like things get real messy for them real fast.
Well, if they've even ruled that Trajan works that way.
Yeah, sure. Depending on how they've ruled Trajan, it can get even messier.
Like in a hurry, like fast.
Yeah, it's really nice when if you charge a full squad of Custodian Guard with all 3 katas, they kill 3 of you, and then you kill the squad back. It's great.
Bonk.
And it's not close.
Good.
Melee. All you have to do is be toughness 5, 4 mortal save, 2 up save, armor contempt, -1 damage, have a character with an enhancement, and at least 4 dragons you can use, and 4 wounds, yeah. And that unit's still 600 points, so like, don't play Thousand Suns.
Why?
You play the Thousand Suns, you get Twisted Fated, and Warp Flamers look at you. You know.
I want off, dude.
I want on. I just want to be on whatever they're smoking when they make.
Yeah, when they wrote this.
All right, I'm going to do the plugs. So there are a few things to go through this week. First of all, if you're here, I always say first of all, if you're still here, 52 minutes into the rambling about things besides the stats because we don't know how to check the stats, you're probably at least some degree enjoying this. There are 80 of you watching. So first of all, thank you for being here. That's actually second of all. I said first of all already. I don't have a script. Can you tell?
It seems obvious that you don't have a script.
Get it together. Patreon.com/statcheck is the first place to go if you are in a position to be able to support us. $5 a month gets you access to our Patreon Discord, where you can join all kinds of things like our sponsored patron TTS leagues, or you can chat to us, see that Deathwing Knights list, and hear me talking all about it. You can complain about everything. That seems to be a fairly common theme. You can get music recommendations from Anthony or worse ones from me, like, lots of cool things in there. It's a great place to be. We really enjoy having all of the community in there. There are like almost 400 of you now, so I'm sure we'll have to organize something once we hit 400 people in the Discord, because we never ended up doing the SpongeBob thing, so we should probably also kick Nathan on doing that at some point, maybe after WTC.
Yeah, get Nathan to sell out, and then he'll have way more time.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, YouTube is obviously the other place that we mostly are. YouTube.com/statcheck. Every Tuesday at 11 p.m. GMT and various other times across the world. You can catch us live for all these kinds of antics and shenanigans. We really, really appreciate everybody being there. If you can chuck a like, a subscription, a comment on the video, comments on the video are the most helpful for us. It lets us know that you guys are watching and like what you're enjoying, what you're not enjoying, and helps us with interaction because people see that you guys are talking to us, and it encourages people to do the same. Couple more things. We also have a couple of other shows on the network. End of the Matrix is Typhus' show all about the wider world of Team Event and 40k, and X&1 is our show all about being better at 40k with a limited time to do so. X&1 will be on Thursday this week. They're going to be talking all about their cold takes on 10th edition, and End of the Matrix will be back presumably sometime before WTC. Mostly a lot of that stuff is going on in Combat Lost at the moment, where Nathan has been doing some excellent work with them, doing interviews with a bunch of different team captains and team captain adjacents like Anthony. The most recent one was Team Sweden with Jonathan Slay Johnson, who is also in the StatCheck Discord, who you can also harass if you're in our StatCheck Discord. Couple more things. We do have a couple of sponsors now. So first of all is Red Dragon, red-dragon.ca. There you can get access to a whole bunch of 40k stuff. I don't actually know the plug for this one off by heart. I'm really sorry, Dan. But we have some merch up there. You can get things like our dice and objective markers, I want to say, are there. And we also have a discount code in the StatCheck Patreon. So if you're there, you can get access to that code and get a discount from them. Dan is awesome. I'm pretty sure he ships worldwide at this point. And there's like loads of, I think he's been chucking in some dice on StatCheck Patreon orders recently. So no, it's really awesome. Really thankful to him for sponsoring him. He's also the sponsor for the Vibe Check leagues, which are TTS leagues. The other one is Saltar Games, who have an Etsy store, which is etsy.com/Saltar Games, and they sell a bunch of tokens and dice trays and all that sort of thing with StatCheck branding on them. So if you're interested in any of that, it's there. There'll be links for both of those in the show description. Saltar have just launched a big bundle that has like all of the different like StatCheck branded stuff on them, so you can get like Battleshock tokens and all that kind of thing with our name on them. So if you do like that, check it out. It supports us and it supports my local game store in the UK. I would recommend if you're overseas, like try and bundle an order. Like speak to other people in the Discord or friends if you're going to order some stuff, because I think shipping can be fairly expensive, just because it's Etsy and it's a little international. But you check it out. Lastly, as I plugged earlier, stat-check.com/coaching. Myself and Typhus do both offer coaching if you are looking to get better at 40k in any way, shape, or form, whether you're looking to practice for an event or just get better in general, or you just want to jam some TTS with some high level players. Check that out. Or you can drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com. Love to hear from you. I need to buy more Tyranids, so would love to hear from lots of you, but we'll figure it. Right, that's all I've got. I'm going to run and grab a glass of water, and then we can jump into doing some show questions.
Oh, I'm going to be left alone with chat.
All the polls were very, very much enjoyed how we say bottle of water in the UK as well, and I got made to say that a few times. You want a nice bottle of water?
Yeah.
You're playing water bottles. Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? All right, Anthony, I'll be back in like 30 seconds, okay?
All right, I'm stuck with chat.
Don't go mad with power.
Quickly, chat.
Also,
unhinged questions, go.
There are people in chat who are building Deathwing Knights because of me. Number one Deathwing Knights that win the world. Anthony, you should play that like once. It's super fun.
I'll play it once, maybe. But I have to play more 10th. Ugh. All right, chat. You've got till he gets back to ask me whatever weird question you'd like an answer to. Cow spikers are shit. Don't buy those. Quickly, chat. Hurry while he's gone. Oh. Hello, Dad. He's back. Man, you guys had such a sweet window to ask me whatever ridiculous thing you wanted answered, and it's already closed. Unlucky.
How do you feel about Night Lords right now?
What?
How do you feel about Night Lords right now?
Better than I feel about Death Guard.
That's fair.
There's a couple funny ones in chat there, but they were too slow, so now their questions don't get answered. I'm lucky.
Does Ennis always bash good stuff? No, I've been bashing Kenneth for ages. Sorry, man. We don't know if it's good or not until we see this data slate.
That's right. One step at a time. If you had to try to lose WTC by taking the worst 8 armies, what would you take?
Anthony, what are you taking?
What?
Just whatever 8 Anthony's planning on taking, I would take and play them with Scottish players.
You're going to take 8 Custodes armies?
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah. Give me a
moment.
moment.
WTC just sent a poll out asking me about parking. I don't have to worry about that. That's fine. Oh, bye, Anthony. Anyway, I'm on my own now, which means that it's going to get...
I'm back. Too slow.
That's 100% of my impulse control is back.
Yep. How do you make World Eaters a shooting army? You sell it.
I reckon if you like picked up a decent amount of World Eaters models, they're spiky enough that if you just flung them at your opponent's eyes, you could take them out and win the game that way.
So you would injure someone.
Derek says, I mean, that's literally the quickest any person has seen in this move. Kid was like a ninja over that bottle of water. Which
He's
is
right.
Not untrue. All right, let's do some show questions. I like the Saltar messaging me on 2 different platforms to tell me to shell.
Shell.
Remember to shell?
Yeah. I do get sad seeing the World Eaters gym painted on my shelf, Ben. Or Dan, that was asked that.
All right, where the fuck are show questions? Since we reorganized the Discord, I just can't find anything anymore.
It's a thread, so let's see how boomer you are.
Where are the innocent stat check branded 10th ed videos? In progress. Frank and I have finished the scripts, and we should be filming sometime this week for the definition mechanics.
Woo!
So those will be joining soon. We decided not to do faction focuses because the edition is trash, and we were ruling on like 3 of them, and then realized that we're just saying, "Hey, you're just losing to everything."
You lose to the 3 good armies, and then you beat the bad ones. Yeah.
We'll do them as codexes come out. I think we follow them with them.
Yeah.
Is there actually going to be a TTS Teams League next? And if so, will StatCheck host the drafting? We will be doing a Teams TTS League next. I don't know what the exact structure is going to be, but I think what we'll probably do is we'll have the 7.
Dennis, you're hard to hear.
Well, I can't do anything.
You're better now.
Okay. No, I think my connection might just be a bit shaky. I'm sorry, I'm speaking a little under my voice just because my family is asleep. And my new mic doesn't seem to work at all. It doesn't get responsive to my streaming. So yeah, we are probably going to do like the 7 of us drafting rather than playing. We'll draft like teams, and we'll all. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the interest is like. If it ends up being like 60 people,
Your mic is super scuffed, bro. Mute it, like restart it or something. I will be the questions man. Yeah, we'll probably do once this vibe check ends out, we will get it going from there. I imagine if we do teams, we will probably do.
I have a mic, it just doesn't work well. I don't know why.
Your mic is now somehow back to normal? Question mark.
I didn't change anything.
Well, it works now, so good job.
This computer so much, man.
Yeah. Apparently, we need a get Innes a laptop fund.
That would honestly probably, that would help.
Yeah.
Anyway, Innocent Typhus, Sam asks, any key findings from the 8-man team event? Not telling you. Sorry, Sam. Yeah, there were. We found out tons of things. You don't get to know them because you weren't there. Kim asks, with list building, at what point should I be concerned when I'm handling my vote on a potential win by taking too many characters, vehicles, monsters for assassinate, bring it down, etc.? And how many points is too many?
I feel like when you start crossing into like your opponent looking at it and being like, I literally can't play this game if I don't kill any. You get there, Assassinate's a little more touch and go, but it feels like it's easier now than it was before because you can just kill the unit they're attached to and then you clip them too. So, I don't know. It's hard. There's not like a clear cut, like, oh, this amount is like, now it's real.
I would say, for me, the best guess is to just play a few games. And if you find your opponent's always taking and maxing them, that you can probably, like, cut down a little bit. Like, you probably don't need to give up 20 on bring it down in, like, a marine list, for example. You can probably, but also, is it that big a deal if you do? Like, if your opponent was going to score anyway because you're playing marines and you can't stop from standing in the middle, like, does it matter if they're standing in the middle or killing your stuff? Like, at least if you make the big fix to getting less CP.
Yeah, it's a bit different.
I don't think it's that big a deal. So, GS seems pretty good. How do we fix it?
I don't think we do. I think that book is fundamentally broken and would need a rewrite to be okay.
Yeah, there's like, the problem was we started spitballing in the hot takes channel in Discord, and I think we ended up at like 8 things that we were like, yeah, if you changed all of these, it'd probably be a little too much. But I think you could probably change
not that
like
much.
7 of them, and if you'd probably be like hitting 50%. I also think you would probably, like, if you implement like 3 of them, you'd probably see the player base like drop off a cliff, and then their win rate would be stable but slightly too high because they would only be dedicated to playing.
Settle a curiosity for me. Hold that mic closer to your face.
Which one? This one or?
Holy shit, that worked. It's using that mic.
Why? This is not my built-in mic.
Don't know what to tell you. That's what it's using.
I'm so confused. This earphone doesn't work.
Yep, but that mic does.
God, I hate this computer.
Well, anyway.
Sure. So I'm gonna stand here with this like a moron now. Cool.
Chad is correct. The Geller field flickered by you and turned that into your active mic. We figured it out. We did it.
I don't understand what's going on anymore. For me, I think if I had to give you a top 3, that didn't involve changing things from the thing they are to things they aren't. Because specifically, Anthony, I know you want to make the 3-inch deep strike thing an enhancement. I would
Yeah.
make that stratagem one use only. So that's tunnel crawlers, make it one use only. I would probably. I mean, it's so difficult because there's so many things. I would like add the must be within 9 inches of a blip restriction.
Wholly within 9?
Wholly within 9, or wholly within 6, depending on how cruel you want to get. I think within 9 is probably fine. Within
Wholly
6
within
is probably
3.
safer.
Wholly within 3 if the unit's too big, it doesn't respawn.
That would probably be. I would describe that as maybe a little much, but sure. I'm not even opposed to it at this point. And I would probably make the Nexus's free strat once per battle round rather than once per turn.
That being once
Because
per turn is
almost,
offensive.
yeah, like the Tyrant is once per turn, and I think it's okay on the Tyrant because the dude costs 220 points. The Nexus is 50.
Yeah.
That is what I had earlier, Derek. So that'll be why it was better because I did have it tucked in like this before. I'm so confused.
We figured it out.
I'm so confused. I hate this. I hate everything about this. Right. For Anthony, will Team USA be adding Steven's mustache to the roster?
Perhaps in future years, it is extremely.
There is a picture that accompanies this, by the way.
We don't want to intimidate the the first year that he's over.
Anthony, it's worth saying there is a picture that accompanies this.
There is a picture that accompanies this. If you want to see it, go check out the Team USA social media on Facebook and Instagram.
Or it's in Discord at patreon.com/statcheck.
Yep.
Okay. Hope everyone is doing well and managing the pre-WTC stress without turbo pain. Absolutely not. Does anyone have a favorite dumb, funny, ridiculous game moment that they've heard about for 10th event so far besides toilet dice?
Someone copped I think it was 48 mortals from Wraith Knight Overwatch. That was pretty funny. Just an example of just many sixes. Fuck you, die. I thought that was funny because if things are going to be bad, they might as well be bad and ridiculous. So at least that was funny.
I watched a Wraith Knight delete a full Aberrant squad once, which is bizarre, which is just so beyond the realm.
Wait, like standard shooting or overwatching?
No, standard shooting, but still, that's 60 wounds worth of 4-up to get through.
Yeah, I get it, but I don't know. That's silly, but it's not on Overwatch. You know what I mean?
Noah killed 50 GSC with 5 space cops.
Hell yeah, dude.
I made a GSC player concede on turn 1 by them going first, me teleporting 2 death wish squads into the deployment zone and hitting charges. Just they didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, it didn't look great for them. Anything else super fun that came up? I watched a 5-turn ongoing combat between a broadside and a heavy destroyer.
Okay.
The destroyer just get missed. The broadside just get missing, and they're doing 2 damage, and the locust would heal, and come back, and it'd die again.
Oh my god. So stupid.
That guy that had the Thunderhawk at Tacoma. I don't know, man. It's 40k. There's always dumb people, dumb lists playing dumb stuff, having dumb stuff happen. That's one thing that has never. One thing that has never and will never change is that the dumb stories that come out of 40k are just as good now as they've ever been.
Yeah.
Which I think is at least vaguely positive.
I think they're a little diluted by how silly everything is, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, everything is stupid, but I can still appreciate that there is the right kinds of stupid in 40k, at least sometimes still.
Yeah.
Watching an opponent's face when a Magnus triple moves might be my favorite thing still, but practice just goes 42 inches clear, just taking the long way over 3 ruins on the way, up and down, because we can't stop him. That's pretty fun as well.
Yeah.
Right. I need to be quicker to these questions. Thoughts on Ritual going second versus taking hold center armor like Crons? Almost none. Ritual. We're not playing Ritual at WC, so I've basically not looked at it.
I don't even know what that mission is.
It's the one where you do the action to make additional objectives.
No.
Yeah, we're playing it in singles, so I should probably look at it at some point. But
Who's this we? Do you have a mouse in your pocket?
we, as in like the people who are playing the War
Yeah,
Masters.
yeah.
Don't be
You and
disingenuous.
you and other fucks.
You and the, like all of the Team America non-players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And all of
them
Poland.
motherfuckers. I'll tell them you said that. Team America Facebook has 11 people listed as players. Is this the secret tech that's going to get you the big win? No, they just need 3 for when the other ones get red carded. No, that's England. Sorry.
Wrong one.
I mean, I wouldn't hold it out. Maybe you guys are taking too much from England.
I mean, why take anything from England? Imagine taking something from England. You'd have to practice with them, and no one wastes their time doing that.
I mean, don't you take your wins from them? But
we do. We take some amount of wins from them. Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe in the shopping cart theory?
Yes.
Strongly.
Yeah. I would go farther. I think if you don't put your shopping cart back in the thing, you should immediately lose your social security number. You can only barter for goods. You don't get to take loans or anything anymore.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind losing my social security number because I don't have one. So
well, you get no. Oh yeah, sure. I meant like in the States. That's what would do. I don't know
hey,
what your
that's
guys'
fine.
equivalency is.
National insurance number? Like we can't pay taxes? That sounds good.
No, you lose like any ability to like take out credit cards and shit.
That'd probably be good for me.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, which armies do fixed missions the best? Which do tactical the best? And which are begging for faction sale? This is too. No, I'm sorry. Eldar and GSC do tactical the best. They also do fixed the best.
yeah, the armies that are the best are also the best at putting points on the board. That might have something to do with why they are the best.
Marines fucking suck at tactical, but it's all they have. So,
yeah.
And what stage of grief are you on regarding 10th? Whatever this looks like is the stage of grief we're on. I think you guys will probably know better than we are because we're probably in denial about what stage of grief we're in.
Yeah.
Like, I think Anthony thinks he's in the 7s, but I think he's actually still in denial.
I'm just ready to be done. Where's that?
I don't know. I don't actually know what the stages of grief are anymore. Like, kind of.
Yeah.
I moved into the acceptance stage of grief with the stages of grief.
Yeah,
don't need to know them anymore.
We're too deep.
Assuming GW refuses to change the core rules and the custodians get nerfed, how does melee get fixed for melee armies such as Orcs, Blood Angels, and World Eaters?
Add 3 strength and 2 AP to every melee profile of a dedicated melee unit, and you start to have something.
Yeah, I'd probably start with something like every unit gets +1 strength, or +1 like strength and attack on the charge.
Oh, or you can also do enemies that you charged are battle shocked.
That'd be real bad for custodians.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, I'd probably do like if you only declare a charge on one target, you battle shock them, right? If you multi-charge, fuck you. But
Sure.
I think there's definitely like things you could do. Yeah, I think you just kind of need to generically like there are a ton of melee units that are perfectly viable. They're just viable for reasons that are like the melee is a bonus on top of. Like it still sucks getting charged by Lich Guard, right? Like it's not fun for anyone. But it's also mostly because you can't kill the Lich Guard to stop them charging you.
I was gonna say you're gonna be there forever as well, like when once you're in.
Like Deathwatch Thunderhammers are great once they're there. It's the delivery that's the problem, right? Like I think
all you gotta do is deliver a tactical marine across the board in 10th.
And do you know what? It's surprising how often you can. That's my favorite thing is that it still happens. Like people still stop you all the time.
Yeah.
+1. I'd go further. Maybe I would do like +1 to hit and +1 AP on the charge. Like strength values, like I get it. If you want,
I don't care about strength. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you want them to be like, if you want most melee to wound vehicles on 5s, I'm fine with it. But at least let me goddamn hit them.
I don't think plus to hit is actually enough now that I think about that. +1 to wound an AP on the charge. There we go.
I mean, +1 to wound is lance, right? Like that's already a rule.
You get lance on the charge. Woo! You get lance. Yeah.
Just every melee weapon has lance now, and then if you got lance, you get double lance.
Sure. You get
if your weapon already has lance, you get to reroll the wound.
There you go. Exactly. Perfect. Nailed it. Reroll 1s even. Fuck. I'll take whatever. I'm not picky.
Yeah, like mostly I think the main thing I need is delivery mechanisms. Like I just feel like
I care way less about delivery mechanisms, but that might be the fucking part of me that wants to play World Eaters. I could deliver the shit out of a World Eaters army. It's not going to do fucking anything once it gets there.
Fair enough. I don't know. There's a whole mess of melee issues. Like I would be okay with, like, I think the fact that you don't have to, you can fight things you didn't charge now is still weird.
It's
Um,
really powerful if you have a good melee
yeah,
unit.
exactly. But it really, like, it's one of those rules that just kind of bugs me, and I don't think should exist.
Yeah,
But because it's a thing that makes melee more usable right now, I don't mind, which is
yeah.
really weird because it's definitely a feels bad mechanic.
Oh, it feels so bad when you get to declare a 3-inch charge and punch something 11 inches over that way.
So yeah, I definitely think there's a lot I would change about melee. I would start with like consolidation should just be like you can just consolidate. You don't have to go into an objective into units.
Uh,
And then after that, we can start talking. And then it's like, then I want an output buff to something. Like I think AP and I think plus one to hit and AP would be a start, and I would then go for, and now we could go from there if it was, and then like change a couple of the mechanics around like the movement at the end, and then we'd have something to talk about.
yeah,
Anyway, chat's talking about pasta and tomatoes, so I'm just going to assume that they're okay with everything we said and that nobody questions any of our decisions.
yeah, they'll do all right eventually. Chat will sort themselves out.
What cases have you guys been taking fixed over tactical? I find unless my opponent is running Muscle Mash Demons, taking tactical is just flat out better with the extra CP and flexibility.
While your opponent is running Monster Mash Demons.
And I mean, if your opponent is running that and they give up 20 on Assassinate and bring it down, like, yeah,
Yeah,
cool, go
take
for it,
that
man.
and kill them.
So I usually find if your army already gains a CP in the command phase, it's usually pretty easy to justify taking fixed. And if you don't, it's still doable. It just obviously the CP does not getting the CP does hurt.
Yeah, you just need a
Um,
weighted CP cycle of some way, shape, or form. And if you can
yeah,
do that,
exactly. If you've
then
got like,
all out.
for example, and one of the most annoying things is that Eldar are very good at playing fixed because they have the Automatic Leaper who just gives them a command point every command phase. So they don't
Right.
have any additional benefit from playing tactical, which means that if they can pretty reliably play like engage and a kill secondary into you, they will just do it because like what's going to like there's no downside to them. So I think there are some armies that can get away with fixed pretty well. And then you have some armies like while Tyranids continue to be able to score with Biovores, like fix is a no-brainer for them because they just kind of don't need CP with the Tyrant. Um, Armies that like can play into knights and just like kill them and score engage. Like engage is pretty doable now. So is teleport homers. Like there's lots of pretty comfortable secondaries for like 10 plus to 20 on the kill secondary that will um usually outpace. I find in close games when you play fixed though, it can be a bit telegraphed, and that does kind of run into the your opponent just counting scoring against you and knowing what they need to do, which can give away some information in the close games. In the
Yeah.
like blowout games, it doesn't matter, right?
Well,
But
it's fine.
definitely,
It's also like teams or singles. Like in teams, fixed is whatever. I'm just trying to make you not 20 me. Like,
yeah.
or I'm
In
trying to
singles, it
end
can
your life
definitely
so
be a
hard.
little bit like in singles,
Yeah.
it can definitely be a bit like, hey, I know you have storm hostile objective and bring it down. So I'm just not going to stand on objectives besides the ones I absolutely have to and just
Yep.
play them. Whereas if you play tactical, you introduce that fear of the unknown where your opponent has to play around a lot wider range of things that can happen, which
Right.
introduces volatility, which can be in your favor.
Man, I wish the
Or
secondaries were more interesting.
yeah, I was really hyped for the secondaries, and then I think it's turned into like I like them still in theory. I just feel like about 6 of them are way too hard and the other 12 are way too easy, and it just ends up being really awkward
Yeah, it sucks. They're
when it's
bad.
not like if it was like even just like 50-50, where it was like half of them are really hard but score like 5 points and half of them are really easy but score 3. It would have like Secure No Man's Land and Extend
Dude,
Battle Lines being 5 points is a joke.
the
Um,
games where you get scammed and you're both playing tactical are so egregious.
yeah, it's not the most pleasant. I feel like part of that is the cycle strat being once per game as well. I think if that
I
was
mean, it could be
unlimited heat,
free and usable every turn, and it wouldn't save you from getting scammed. It would help.
broadly, I would recommend every mission that plays Chilling Reign plays draw 3, discard 1 instead as the if you're going to play tacticals.
Yeah.
But I think that also just makes them too easy. But it reduces the scam, but it pushes up the points floor, which I think is also has its issues. So I don't
I don't
know.
know.
It's weird. I like the tacticals in practice, in theory as well, and then you play them and you're like in practice and in theory, they feel great. And then you play them in a tournament, you're like the turn one extend battle line secure no man's land versus turn one capturing outpost
Bring it down
and
against no vehicles.
and behind enemy lines on turn one are like painful. Or you'll draw storm hostile object turn one going second, and you'll like look at it and be like, right, and then you remember you have to discard it. Like, oh, for fuck's sake!
Yep. It's bad. It just isn't good. Like
It's
They fucked
insane that
up,
I think the end of like 8th edition Maelstrom was significantly better than this because it
probably.
actually was
Dude, ninth mission's also better than this. Like, what are we doing?
trying something new. I like I said, I am fully on board with the idea that in 6 months the tactical missions will have another iteration which will be better. And
Yeah,
that
maybe
this
they could
is
add some like unique way for each faction to score
Anthony,
based on their
stop it.
playstyle.
I know what you're saying, but I feel like this is very, very clearly a beta test of cards, right? That's kind of the much like everything in 10th edition is a
Yeah, I
beta
was gonna
test.
say I'd settle for beta. Shit, I feel like I'm over here in alpha,
Yeah,
falling through the wards, running through walls.
we're in pre-alpha 0.01.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and I look forward to seeing where they go in the future because I think there's a lot of cool design space there. They've just not hit on the right mix of it. I think cards like No Prisoners as a one-off and Storm Hostile Objective and things like that are great. And then things like Secure No Man's Land and Extend Battle Lines are a complete joke. They're just like, here's 5 points for existing in Warhammer.
yeah. It
And
feels
I
like
don't
we're
love
like
those.
in the stage of alpha, like to compare to a video game where you're like running through the walls and falling through the floor still. Whereas it's like, oh, okay, we can fix this. We just got to
Yeah.
make the floor solid and the walls solid. But
I'd
like,
honestly also be like, I'd be cool if there was 12 cards, not 16. So you were guaranteed to see all but one if you use the
yeah,
cycle and redraw. I
yep,
think 16 might hit too many with the specific way they've done it now. Because in ninth edition in eighth edition Maelstrom, I'm just gonna amble on this a tiny bit. We would have like you always played 6 objectives, and then one of the cards was always you had 6 cards that were control objective 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on where they were. And 3 of them were easy and 3 of them were hard, was basically the gist. And like you would see, somewhere between 10 and 14 of your cards, depending on how long the game went. And you would pretty reasonably see you play with 18 of them, and you pretty reasonably see there was 2 copies of each of them. So across like your 18 card deck, you had 2 of each of those, and then
yeah.
6 additionals. And
Mhm.
that was pretty controlled because you were pretty likely to see a decent mix. And yeah, there was some randomness in there, and it rewarded you for pushing your opponent because that's a good thing, right? There should be an incentive to not just sit in your half of the board, but to go and take objectives off your opponent and play the game aggressively. Which is why I think like Storm Hostile Objective is a really cool card to be in there.
I mean, like, even if they had
But
just done that system where they let us build a smaller deck out of the existing deck, it would probably be fine. They just didn't. So now
yeah,
it's trolling.
yeah, or if they just added like you add like 6 more cards to the deck, and then you say
Sure.
like you pick like 6 to remove. Like I think it'd be fine. Anyway, I'm gonna move on because I'm getting upset.
Yeah.
What is, in your opinions, the coolest looking Tau battle suit? The hazard suits from Forge World.
I don't really have one that hasn't been tainted by trauma.
You probably I don't know if you'll have seen hazard suits before.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a bunch of the Tau suits can look cool, but that army's been so like irrevocably tainted for me that I like just have to hate it now.
This is a balls length that will do. I'm consenting to balls as data pro data. I think this is not great. Whatever. This is I keep hitting slides.
And this is lagging and
Um,
struggling.
I'm having a bad time.
It's too late. The hyperfocus
This
has
guy.
got him.
This guy's cool.
That guy's kind of cool.
Just
I
like
guess.
twin burst cannons on each arm. I love it.
Yeah, that's a little weird, but I'm here for it.
There was also a character from Kelshon for a while who was pretty cool, but I think he was in a hazard suit as well. I like hazard suits. I like that they have the word hazard in the name.
I like hazardous on current suits. That shit's funny.
Which of the original Avengers would each of y'all be?
Well, my name's Anthony, so that one.
Can I pick Coulson? Just like not actually very good at things, just like motivating.
No, you're the Hulk for sure.
Thanks, I appreciate that. But that's definitely Brian.
He's secret, but secret. That's his secret. He's always angry.
Grant asks, "How was Curie's Tacoma experience?"
We'll get to find that out in the future when he's alive.
Ask again next week.
Yeah.
Which of the Great Lakes Avengers would you be? Asked Press.
Which of the what?
The Great Lakes Avengers would you be?
I don't know what that means.
Me neither. Sorry, Prez. What is the best and worst of the new turret sculpts? The best is the Norn Emissary.
The Norn Emissary. I'm gonna run as many as they will let me.
Like I love the new. I will say, if it was just the Hormagaunts, then they would I would adore. Like I think they're the second best model of the right, but the Northern like I prefer them to like everything else. But the Northern Emissary is too perfect.
I mean, all of them are sick. I'm very excited.
Like I love the little dinosaur looking Hormigons. I think for me my least favorite is the Death Leaper. Like I just don't love the cape.
Love
I'm not
that
gonna
thing.
lie.
Oh,
I
it's
love
so good.
everything about him but the cape, and it really bugs me.
It bugs
And I'll
you. It
yeah, I know
bugs you.
it bugs me,
Ah.
and I will just build him without it. But I think people are expecting to be like I feel like the usual answer here is going to be the Bible Power kit, but I really like it. It looks like a Hammerfall bunker, like got sent through the Stranger Things dimension, and I kind
Oh
of
no,
really
I
like it.
like them. They're cool.
Yeah, I know they look great. They look like RTS units. Like they'd be
Yeah,
like if you're playing Dawn of War, they look like the turrets that you would build as Tyranids,
yeah,
and
they're
they'd go
perfect.
forward and they'd like sit.
Yeah,
I would do it.
yeah,
Gene Stealers look goofy. Yeah, that's fair. But
I like them.
Gene Stealers are meant to look goofy. They're weird little alien like sex offenders. It's fine.
That is basically what they are.
I own 150 of them. Don't read into that.
Yikes.
Since Jack Ryan finished with Tom Clancy book series, what Tom Clancy book series would you like to see adapted into a TV series? I'd love to see Rainbow Six. I have no idea. I've never read
Same.
any
I
Tom
also
Clancy.
don't know.
What have you found to be the best game aids that you've used? It's definitely the little 3-inch gauges. They're like by far the thing that makes your gameplay of 40K the smoothest. If they were the only thing I could have additionally to like a tape measure and dice, it would be them. Or a chess clock. I guess a chess clock
A
technically.
chess clock for sure. It's not even close.
But yeah, if we're talking about like specifically like in-game things, I think a chess clock is kind of like a tournament thing. Then 3-inch gauges by far, or neoprene objective markers is one of the two.
Yeah.
I feel like a 3-inch gauge is probably more generally useful, but less like specifically. So I don't know. It's hard to live without a lot of them. Like wound dials is another one that I just like try not to live without if I can.
Yeah, I use dice, but I don't have my stuff doesn't have a lot of wounds usually. Maybe
I
that'll
don't
change when I
trust.
play new and improved Crusher.
I don't trust myself to not pick up the dice. If I'm being honest, like I like to clean the board during like between turns and stuff. Just move like sweep all the dice that my opponent's just left lying about and that I've left lying about, and like there's always a chance that you just like grab the wrong dice because you
I use
forget in a moment. And
I
it bugs
only
you.
roll stat check dice and then I use other dice for other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I have the big green LVO dice that I use for my wound counts at the moment for anything small, but
Yeah.
like they go on the base, and I try to use wound dials, but I've really begun to see how games can be lost at the list building stage. Do you have any tips or thoughts on how you can try to limit this where possible? Copy a good list, remove the extenuating factor of you getting it wrong, and then adapt from there.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to write a list from scratch unless you're just playing the stuff you have, at which point you're not worrying about losing it into the list building stage. Copy a list, adapt it for what you have if you have to, but start with a known quantity. Remove your own list building skills as a factor in your gameplay. You will improve so much when you make it your the only reason you're losing is because of yourself at that point, or like if terrain is different or whatever. But like, whatever,
Right.
that's so much less of a factor. What lives rent free in your head these days?
10th.
That's fair. The one little Hormigont that's like fully upright. Like I love him. How do larger events than usual skew the stats? They don't really. Like they definitely have an impact on the week they're there, but the pool of data we have now is so large that as an aggregate they're pretty small. I'm assuming Anthony has no opinion on this whatsoever.
Math stuff. Woo!
Why does Nathan refuse to elaborate on what makes a good bird? That's because he doesn't know.
Yeah, I agree.
The good bird picked him, and he doesn't know why. So,
yeah,
it's because he's not met a flamingo that isn't pink yet, and therefore he doesn't know what the best bird looks like. Flamingos get their pink from eating shrimp. I'm pretty sure. I might be completely wrong about that.
Oh,
but,
that's a thing.
That's what
Yeah,
I've
that
heard.
seems real.
So if they just don't eat shrimp, they're just not pink, and they're just like white flamingos.
Weird.
So I assume
like
that I think that's my favorite thing. Or there's like these birds that just look like completely round, and I love them.
Yeah.
They look like they're from Angry Birds. Nathan doesn't know what makes a good bird. Nathan just asked the question so that somebody will tell him. Anthony, have the new WTC layouts given you hope for a fun tournament?
Yeah. I think WDC will be fun, but I think WDC could be fun if we took turns hitting each other with glass bottles until one of us died. So that doesn't really make a great indictment for the rules of 10th, but I think WDC will be fun either way.
Yeah, WTC is always a great event, almost irrespective of like what the quality of the gameplay is, because
Yeah.
it's everybody there, right?
Yeah,
That's
you
the
unfortunately set 9 hours on fire playing 40K, but aside from that, WTC will be a lot of fun.
and it depends who you're playing with, right? Like we pair Anthony, we're gonna have fun regardless of the game. It'll be great.
Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are in our pod
Look,
so
we're a
bad.
pool two seed. We could be in anybody's pod.
I know.
We could have Canada in our pod
You
as our
could.
one seed.
And then you can win your pod.
Yeah, it'll be great. And we could also have Poland and really regret these 2 weeks of practice. But
Yeah, because that's going to be the difference between you and Poland.
yeah, well, we've been sandbagging this whole time.
Two 20s, 6 draws. Easy money.
Yeah, it's just not me getting with the 20s anymore. Womp womp. What's a normal amount of time for a medium-sized jar of of dill pickles to last in your household?
A day.
I assume infinitely. I have no idea what a dill pickle is.
What?
Like I know what a pickle is, but like a pickle
What's a,
here would be like a pickled onion, but like
like a pickle, like a cucumber that's in the what? Ah, let's see if I can bring some to WTC.
we don't do that here. Uh, I know what they are from like SpongeBob and stuff, but that's about it.
Never mind. Shut up. Keep moving. Jesus Christ.
Pigeons can make a purring sound when they're happy. Seems like a good bird to me. Jeff, I know it says you're the village idiot right here in your Discord name, but that's for show questions discussion, not for show questions.
Pigeons are great.
Do you still think Rapid Ingress is going to get the hit with the 2 CP once per game restriction now? I think it fucking should, but it's just the only thing holding the game together. Oh,
No.
Gherkin, right? That makes sense. The stuff
Yeah.
I get taken off my McDonald's burgers.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Rapid Ingress probably should get nerfed. It's just like so far down the list of priorities
No.
that I can't
Just
imagine
leave
it
it
getting hit
alone.
now.
Leave it alone. Stop.
I know, right? It's the only way to get to combat. Leave me be.
Oh my god.
I know. I hate it so much. I
It's
hate that it's.
You know what's disrespectful? When someone uses rapid ingress on a unit with guns. Fuck you. Like, you should only be able to rapid ingress if you don't have a ranged weapon.
You ever gotten Rapid Ingress by something that's just there to get the heavy bonus next turn?
Oh, no. What? Jesus Christ.
It's just like I'm just gonna take the most like I once Rapid Ingress Desolation Marines because didn't want to start them on the board. Dealt with the indirect, Rapid Ingress them on the side so they could stand still and get direct fire and ignore cover. And heavy. It was horrifying, and I hate it. Anthony's gone. Anthony, I'm not saying until you come back. I personally would say Rapid Ingress. The change it actually needs to not work with Strat Reserve. It should only work with like actual units that deep strike. But that's never going to happen, so it's fine. I think I broke him. Yeah, Rapid Ingress is a +1 to hit is a choice, right?
How? Hello. You just get
Kitty.
attacked by my cat.
I mean, she's adorable.
All right, what's next?
First edition change, long-time Magic player. Is the meta still evolving, or are bad armies mostly going to stay bad until they get FAQs and codexes?
Oh man, I have terrible news if you were expecting this to look anything like Magic.
I will say there is a decent chance that there are a couple of lists for factions that are underplayed right now that are going to emerge as meta responses to something. And I think WTC is a time where we will see more of that than I think we are expecting. But I do not think it will be enough to cause a dramatic shift to the wider meta.
I'm looking
But I
forward
think
to
there will definitely be like,
list.
yeah, there will definitely be a couple of factions with a couple of lists that do get there when played expertly that are not currently being spoken about. I do not think there will be many, but I think there will be at least a few.
For what it's worth, last year's WTC set the singles meta like for the next fucking a year. So
yeah, basically till the end of the edition, right?
Eric's GSC list, like
the Jack's Blood Angels list for LVO, yeah.
Jack's Blood Angels list that came from the English one, right? Like,
yeah. So yeah, I definitely think we'll see a bunch of stuff that comes from WTC and gets broken, like just changes things. We'll see basically like final revisions on some of the lists for the best factions now.
Yep.
Like I think it will give us a fairly solid consensus on like what the best LR list is, what the best GSC list is, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then there will be some number of things that emerge as purely counter meta choices that end up actually being good.
Yeah, I agree.
But it will not be nearly enough for it to. Nothing will dethrone Eldar in GSC, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. You might see some change in like what factions 4 through 10 are in the ordering, but like 1 and 2 aren't changing, and I probably don't think 3 is either.
I guess we'll see.
Anthony, what do you think of today's Diablo 4 patch notes?
I think they did a lot of good bug fixing. I think it was also cool that though they did a thing that directly nerfs the build and class I'm playing, they acknowledged that it was like, hey, this is a bug fix. That thing wasn't supposed to do that. We're going to do some other stuff to resolve that, but we have to fix this first so we can actually do things. And I like when dev companies have reasonable explanations that are followed by like good assurances that they will fix the thing and now no one has to freak out. People will freak out because this is a Blizzard game, but yeah. Can I help you with something?
Pickles.
No? Boop? Okay. All right. Yeah.
I can understand why dill pickles don't last long in your house when your cat's named Pickles, but
Yeah. Do you want something?
attention, clearly.
Yeah. This. Okay. Anyway,
Okay. What do you think of the Killmore primary mission besides it sucks?
that shit's hilarious. I love that. That's so
I can't
funny.
believe that the ITC unironically played 3 years of that mission and also told me it was better than WTC missions for the entire time. I hate you all.
I mean,
Not
I would
you,
rather
Anthony.
play
You weren't around. But
that mission's great. That mission keeps GSC a little more under the fucking thumb. I
that
think
and
that they
supply
should
drop
make.
where you can just dump your entire army on one and be like, you can't kill it all, bitch.
You know what would be the best fix for GSC? Make no prisoners a fixed mission.
I think that's. You'd have to make it 1 point per kill.
Nope. 2. Fuck it.
No, you'd have to make it 1 per kill if you were going to make it fixed. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up. Does anybody in chat have any questions they want to say in the next like 30 seconds before I fall asleep immediately? If not, Anthony's gonna hit the button like mid-sentence for somebody.
I would never.
Cool. I'm gonna do the plug before you go out, Anthony, so don't actually do it.
Also,
I'm letting people have the 30 seconds to ask a question. Fucking hell, man. He's so rude, guys. I'm sorry. This is what I work with every week.
yeah. I have the cat to get me through having to talk about 10th.
So you also got some Clorox behind you, so.
Well, that's just in case. That's for 11th.
Can we do our coaching call right now? Nick, you asked for like Thursday? It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to change in the next 2 days. Does the randomness of cards make it more challenging for captains and teammates to predict the outcome of battles? No. The fact that my players don't know how to tell me is what actually makes it difficult. The cards have very little to do with it.
I can probably force Innis into a mosh pit the weekend before LGT. If
You
I can get
probably could. I don't know if I would survive it.
You'd be fine. It's not that crazy.
I've never been to a concert, so it would definitely be a weird experience. But...
What? Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. All right. I'm going to do the plugs again once more time to finish up. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here for an hour and 40 of us basically rambling about everything 10th edition. Stan, the new Tyranids, the Norn emissaries are incredible. I will probably try and play 3 Norn emissaries and 3 Norn simulators in RTT sometime. So keep an eye out for me losing an RTT 0-3 with that. If you enjoyed the show, please do check out the show every week. We are live at 11 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Eastern, and various other times across the world every Tuesday for something more or less like this. There are a bunch of recurring guest hosts between myself, Anthony, Nathan, and Jeremy, and also sometimes Typhus, not Typhus, Tim, and Cliff whenever they're available. We really appreciate you guys all being here. The live streams are one of the highlights of my week every week, despite the fact that I'm utterly knackered. I'm still very glad to be here. If you're looking to support the show in any way, shape, or form, Best ways to do that are either by hitting up the socials, whether that's Facebook, technically have a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram is a good place to catch up on like when we're at events and stuff like that together, or see any live videos that we're making. Or you can check out the YouTube where you can do, the like, comment, subscribe thing that everybody wants to talk about. And unfortunately, it does help. So we do have to say it every time, because if we don't say it, people do measurably less of it, which is always a super weird experience because everybody is like super tired of saying it or hearing it. But also, if you don't say it, people don't do it. So got to play the game, right? Patreon.com/StatCheck is the best place to give us direct support, where you can get access to our Discord, whether that's everything from the TDS leaks and speaking to us a bunch more, and stat-check.coaching for all your coaching needs from myself, Typhus. And also, we have 2 other shows. Extra One is live this Thursday at 12 p.m. UK. Enjoy. See you later. Thank you, Anthony. I love your cat.